Landlord from hell. So I'm going to share this story. I have the landlord from hell. When Dan and I moved from the vacation home that we loved into this house, it was a different landlord, and it was this company that buys lots of houses. And Dan thinks that they're so big that they're just incompetent. They can't handle like all of the requests that come in. And I was thinking more like they're a narcissistic company. Like whoever's at the top of this, whoever's leading this is like intentionally doing things to drive all the tenants crazy. So, and so we all have like this story where something is kind of terrorizing us, but at the same time, you don't want to be a victim to it. So I found out that this particular company has 2 Facebook groups. Or no, let me scratch that. They have multiple lawsuits against them. There are 2 Facebook groups out there with like thousands of people that are talking about how awful this company is. And just out of pure research, I joined these groups, and it's like victims of the landlord's name. So, and then like lawsuit against the landlord's name. And I was thinking about this, and you know, I don't want to be any kind of victim in life. I don't want to be victimized by anything. I don't think that that is conducive to living a good, productive, successful, empowered life. So on some level, to be victimized by something is to give your power away to something else, and you know, you don't have any power. So the way that I'm looking at this landlord thing, and I'll just like share specifically what the problems that we've had, and I don't want to get like too deep into it, but when we moved in, they didn't give us a gate fob, like to get into the place, the whole unit, or to get into the pool area. And I sent multiple requests, and they sent paperwork, and we filled out the paperwork, and there was no response. And then, you know, I followed up again, and there was no response. And I followed up again, and there was no response. And I followed up again, and there was no response. And we did phone calls, we did emails, and there's no response. And the way that they set up their communication, even after, like even to just get into a lease, it's like this communication from hell. So it's like, you have to fill out this form first, but you can't fill out that form until you've done this, but you can't do that until you've done that, and you can't do that until you've, you know, done this. And so there, even like I was sensing at the very beginning, this company is psychotic. Like whoever wrote their communication, whoever set up their processes is psychotic. Like that was my instinct right away. And talking to the people, like every single like little step, you're talking to a different person. So we must have talked to about like 15 different people just to go through the leasing process. And I've had great landlords in the past, so I know what to compare it to. And this is by far the most awful landlord company. And I don't know if I want to publicly state their name yet, because I'm doing a little more research on it, and I'm trying to think like how deep I want to get into this, if I want to like write a full article on this or something. I'm talking to somebody that used to work there. I have a call set up with her, and I'm just like, how far do I want to go with this? This feels like an expose. It feels like whistleblower type stuff, and I'm busy, so I don't know if I want to get that deep into it. But it is very weird to me what they're doing. And I've heard all kinds of conspiracies about it. Like, you know, this company is owned by a billionaire hedge fund, and they're just trying to buy up all the houses. And they're not here to provide a good customer experience. They will answer the phone if you want to lease from them. Once you are a tenant and you have any sort of issue, they will not answer you, like ever. And they will charge you insane fees, and they will charge you stuff that, you know, they're not liable to collect it. So I can definitely see why there's lawsuits going on with this company. Like they wanted to charge us $75 for a weed that was supposedly in our front lawn. So that's just an example of how psychotic this company is. But the reason that I'm sharing this is I wanted to say, is there somebody or something, or yeah, somebody in your life that appears to be narcissistic, psychotic, they're driving you insane. You feel victimized by them. You feel like they're terrorizing you. You feel like they're intentionally doing something to you to make your life hell. Is there something in your life where you're just like, ugh, like, come on, get your shit together, and they're just not, they're not responding, or their communication's terrible. So whatever that thing is, I just want to remind you that it's not here for you to feel victimized. I've been talking to one of my coaches about this whole landlord situation, and she invited me to look at the history and the pattern that I have with dealing with narcissistic people, abusive people, people where I got that cold feeling right upon meeting them, and I knew that it was like bad. And she invited me to look at it from the dynamic of like how that's been a pattern in my life, how I've gravitated to, quote, narcissistic people or abusive people, and how I get to now heal that in me. Because Dan, my fiance, is having a completely different experience around this landlord. To him, it's nothing. To him, it's like, they're just incompetent. They're stupid. I was having this experience of getting very upset about their communication or lack of communication. And I was like, just really upset by it and really, disturbed by it. But he's having a completely different experience around it. So same situation, different experience. And I thought that's interesting. So that's why I think that this situation came up for me to look at that pattern in my own life and heal that. So if you're experiencing something similar to that, how can you heal that? So what I'm doing is, as being a part of these Facebook groups, I'm seeing all these stories of just horror stories of people that are, and it's all over the country, all over the US. And it's like, they have maintenance issues and they're not responding, or they're getting all these like crazy fees, like $1,000 to mow the grass or something. And I'm just like reading all these stories, and I'm like, how can I flip this? So just that thought in my head, I was like, let me see if I can start finding stories of people that were able to get the experience that they wanted out of this landlord. So, some people are like, my lease ended and I was able to exit gracefully with no drama, and I was able to get my security deposit back, the whole thing. Or somebody had, their AC went out in Arizona, and they were able to get like the right person that actually cared about their job to handle that, whatever it is. So I've noticed that once I had that thought, I started seeing more stories like that pop up in these Facebook groups. And, I'm not resonating with the victimized stories like, oh, this is so terrible and this happened. Because as I'm reading all these different posts about this landlord, and I'm feeling people's frustration about it, and I'm sensing their irritation about it, I'm like, these people don't realize that they co-created this experience. So God gave them this experience, but they also like manifested this experience for whatever reason. And they're not owning that part of the equation. They're wanting to put all the blame on the landlord, like 100% of the blame on the landlord, because they're like pointing the finger like, you're crazy. You're not doing your job. You're shady, So I just thought that was interesting. And I want to invite anyone who's watching this video, like, stop being victimized. Don't be in the energy of a victim. So whatever's tormenting you, how can you flip that? How can you shift that energy? What is it that you need to like let go of or heal in yourself, or like just shift in yourself? Because it's our perception of things really does have a powerful impact on what shows up in our life. I had this kind of lens of narcissists. Like, I know what it's like to date a narcissist, to grow up with a narcissist. Like, I've had all these experiences. And so there was this like unconscious filter in my world where I was kind of bringing that in unconsciously and then suffering the consequences of that. And someone I followed on Instagram was saying something about how God can heal anything, including the narcissistic person. So it's not a lost cause. Like, there can be a miraculous healing. Like, there can be something bigger than you that can just instantly take care of this if you let it. And I think that's really cool. I find comfort in that.